Oh yeah, what's going on? This Supa Dave back at it again with the PA Political Revolution podcast, and we're back here for another good one, right? Another good podcast, and we have a long term correspondent that's a special guest today, Mr. Harold Doucet, and it seems the reason why I've asked you to come here, Mr. Doucet, because it seems like a little bit of deja vu, right? I remember me, you, and Robert Troy was going over this issue about council eating food, eating meals or whatnot. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of go ahead and roll off into the subject at hand, brother?
Oh, yes. It's Harold Doucet, Councilman, District 4. And the, the subject at hand that you wanted to talk about was the council eating meals that are paid by the taxpaying citizens, you know. And that discussion first came to council probably about 6 weeks ago when I addressed council in a form of discussion when just to inform the council that we had a credit card policy that prohibited uh, anybody that has a city credit card to purchase any food for personal consumption. That means you buy the food and you eat the food. So that was on the credit card. And I told them that, whoever buying the food for council and using the credit card is violating the policy, which in fact it is. There are instances when you can purchase food, but that's for certain events. Like, for instance, if we have a reception for outgoing council members or incoming council members, or somebody retiring, like a manager or something, or if we interviewing city managers and we want to meet with them during lunch and then talk with them, those type things are already in place that you can do. But when you're talking about buying food and council members just going to eat them, then no. The policy is clear. You can't use it for personal consumption.
But isn't
And
the
in this,
reason? But isn't this the reason? Didn't we have this problem a while back? Is why you have a credit card policy or whatnot?
right, that was brought up when I first got on council, and after uh, it got to the point of discussion and stuff, then that buying food was stopped. For that reason because of the credit card. And also, if you look at what the General Accounting Office says about government employees, they are very clear when they're talking about if a government employee receives a salary, then they shouldn't be purchasing meals with taxpayers' dollars. You
And that's
know,
from what organization again?
that's the Government Accounting Office. That's the one that sets the guidelines for all government, all level. It's to include municipal and all. That's why you have representatives, senators, and different government people. They have credit cards, but they can't use the credit card to purchase food for themselves because they receive a salary. You know, the only time you're allowed to receive money for food for your personal use is if you are in a travel. You're traveling. When you go traveling, then you get what they call per diem. You are allowed to have a meal. And the GAO set the cost of the meal, how much you're going to be allowed for each meal, and that cost is based on where you are in the United States. You know, high income areas, they allow more per meal. So all of this is set, and that's what we follow.
Right.
And in this particular case, you know, uh, we're finding that you're trying to find ways so that you can pay for the meals, which if you're reading, you shouldn't, because right now we have two ways of paying for everything in the city. That's by check or credit card.
Right.
Credit card policy. that says you can't buy food for personal consumption. That policy was probably drawn based on the GAO policy,
Right.
and that's probably why it's at the state level, the county level. This is you just don't use a credit card to buy meals.
Right, right. And you have some people out. Well, first, tell me this. Who was the person that's pushing this on council, right? Was somebody pushing it, a group of people pushing it, or how is
Well,
how did it get
well,
on the agenda, right? I heard it's supposed to be on the agenda tomorrow, right?
right.
Right.
What has happened is when I presented to council that you can't purchase food with credit card, and the city attorney also agreed. Okay, so when he says, I read where he said that you know he checked and it wasn't illegal. No, it's illegal if you're using a credit card,
Oh, you talking about who
and
it
that's
checked?
down Councilman Frank.
Okay.
You
Okay. He
see,
had checked with who?
Councilman
The city
Frank is
attorney?
the one. I don't know who he checked with because it was made very clear the first time that you can't use those credit cards, and that's the way they continue to buy the meals.
Right.
You using a credit card. So if you can't use it for the credit for with a credit card, how is it legal? It's kind of like very simple, and that's why I didn't understand why we are still discussing this. Well, I find out because if you read the proposed ordinance, he's really asking council to approve paying for the meals, not only for meetings, but if the council have a workshop, the council has a training session. So he's including things that are not included right now in guidelines and policies. Guidelines and policy allows you to do certain events such as receptions, or in this case, like he mentioned, interviewing people, or like a retreat. Council does a retreat. The policy allows you to do that now, but you're not doing it just for council members. Also, in his proposed ordinance, now he's including staff. Well, you've been ordering these meals and staff have not been included. So now you want to include the staff and you want to include these events that you already are allowed to do, to include the meetings, the workshops, training sessions. Those are not allowed. They're not
Right.
allowed. So, but instead of just ask for those three, he's including events that are already approved that
And
you can do.
something, right, as a citizen, right? A lot of citizens like myself and other people have a hard time understanding, right? If it's illegal, how are they doing it right now? Because it seems like it's illegal. They're doing it right now. When you bust them out, they want to ask for forgiveness and change the law, the rule, the policy, or the ordinance after the fact. How are they able to do that? And it's a specific policy that they're violating right now.
Well, that's the thing that caught me by surprise when I got back on council was the fact that you are ordering meals because none of it makes the common sense test. One, we set the time of our meetings. The time used to be starting at 8:30 for the morning meeting. So normally by noon, we were through with the meeting. Now, if we had a long agenda, what we would do, we would break for lunch and allow the staff to go to lunch also. Then we'll come back and then we will continue the meeting. But that was the closed session. Citizens didn't have to stay then, you see. So that's how we done it. Well, you're moving the meetings up to 9:30. Well, normally now you're going to go till 1:30. Well, after that, you got to now go to the evening. Well, if you're hungry, why don't you just take an hour break, let the staff go eat, you go eat, then we come back and we take care of business. But trying to say that the meeting lasts 6 or 7 hours, and you need to eat. No, they're 6 to 7 hours because you got it set up for them to last 6 and 7 straight hours. Then,
And I just want to stop right there because that's a lie. Because the 5 o'clock meetings, I never seen one of those 5 o'clock meetings last for about 6 or 7 hours. That brings it to 11 or 12 at night, and I seriously doubt.
well, well, here's the thing about the 5 o'clock meetings, the 5:30 meeting rather. That's another reason that he's saying you work. I don't see how you can even buy meals for evening meetings because we go to a closed meeting at 4 o'clock. So you get there at 4 o'clock and you got meals there. That means you left home, you refuse to eat at home, you want to go there so the citizens pay for you a meal.
Right, they could have got something to eat before coming to council. Right.
Yes. And then you come at 4 now. All right. So now you stand and take care of the business because the actual meeting starts at 5:30. You see. So we we have a problem here when council members are trying to justify buying meals with taxpayers' money because you say you have meetings lasting 6 or 7. They only last because of the way you choose to conduct the meetings. And in the evenings, you should not have meals brought in at 4 o'clock. You're just getting there.
Right. Right.
So how do you justify that? So, Councilman Frank is saying things to justify the meals, but what he's saying is not meeting the common sense test because you're not being transparent about how this actually works.
And he lying.
You're
Yes.
not being transparent to say that you saying $10 to $13. The meals you ordering, cost more than that. So why don't you use a figure you know? They order a meal so he knows, what it costs. You order a meal from Cheddar and Sawgrass, and you telling me you paying $10 to $13. Well, there must be a hobo meal, two picking water. That's about all you're gonna get out of Sawgrass or Cheddar's.
So they eating
For
at Saltgrass instead of they eating at a steakhouse, right?
the meals I saw since I've been on council. Okay,
Right.
since I've been on council has been, uh, I would say the super majority of the meals have come from Cheddar and Sawgrass. Okay,
And yeah,
since
I
I've
just
been.
and I just went to Saltgrass. I mean, not Saltgrass. Went to Cheddar's. Um, like about a week ago, a week or two ago, right? Got something to go. They went up. Look, they went up on their prices. I think when I get normally like the salmon or whatnot, that's at least like $15. So I want to say all of them averaging around $15. I mean, they went
Well,
up. They
you
used to be
talk
a
about
little bit
that,
cheaper, yeah, but they went up.
and then they get something else in a cup like a tall malt or something. I know that costs. So, you're not telling citizens how much you are paying for these meals. You're saying, they just a box lunch and they tend. No, they're not.
Yeah, nothing $10
So
at
if
either
you want to
place.
justify it, let's say what you're getting. Okay. If you want to justify the meetings alone, well, first of all, you need to tell citizens
Yeah.
we got meals when we get there at 4 o'clock. We coming from home. Now, do y'all want to pay for this meal? You
Right.
see, the other thing you talking about, how did you start purchasing meal? Where is it? There's nowhere in the budget that we allocate money to buy council members meals
Right.
for council meetings. And if it is budgeted, where is it budgeted? And who said it was for that purpose? So
Right.
basically, you're not transparent. That's my biggest problem. It's not that I say because I don't believe it's right that you don't do it, but I'm quite sure the cities that are following policies and procedures, they're not eating meals
No,
paid for by citizens.
no, and especially how the things going on with the water bill and the water problems And a lot of other things.
Well,
Yeah, they're not eating like that. I doubt it.
well, the thing about it is you have to understand why people elect you, and I always say this, you don't find cities the size of Port Arthur that council people are paid salary and car allowance like here. I mean, it's just $1,500+ a month hey, that's more than most people get for Social Security. Okay.
Right.
So in reality, you have to understand, why am I elected? What did I ask people to elect me for? So I could get in here and serve and move the city forward? Or do I want to make sure that I get meals?
Right.
You know, and you got to justify it. And I've listened to what Council Member Frank has said. And like I said, I have no problem with what he said. It's just that you're not painting the true picture. You're not
Right.
telling citizens
Right.
that when these meals are there and we in the closed session, you're not telling citizens that you're not eating them in. You're not telling citizens that you're taking them home.
Right. So tell me
You're
this:
not.
is everybody getting a meal? Like, is everybody getting a meal? Like, oh, what, seven
I
council
know
members
that.
getting them?
I know that Councilman Beckham, myself, and Lewis. I know, and Kinlaw. I haven't seen. None of us have eaten any meals down there. You know, none of us eating meals down there.
Okay. So
When I first got back on council, the council and mayor secretary called me and asked me, uh, "We're getting meals from Cheddar. What do I want to order?" And I told her then, "No, I'm not ordering any meal." So I know I don't, Beck don't, Louis don't, and I don't think Kinlaw is, because I haven't seen neither of these four council members, to include myself. We never ate anything or taken anything. Kinlaw has brought uh, tunas and crackers and something to snack on. Beckham has brought something to snack on. You know, Lewis and myself, we just gut it out, I guess, or I eat before meetings. Okay, but
right,
you
do
know,
is
uh,
it like just what, 3 meals bought, or is it 7 meals bought? And if there is seven, what happens to the other
I,
meals?
I I I've never counted the meals, but I do know that once council meeting is over with, uh, some people take the meals. Okay.
Oh,
Now,
okay, okay.
who takes the meal? I don't know who take the meal, because I don't go down there when council meeting is over. I leave by elevator and I go out the building.
Right,
But
right.
I do know that the meals are taken. Okay. But I don't know why the meals are bought if you got four council members that's not eating
Right, absolutely. It don't doesn't make any
them.
sense.
So yeah, and my big issue, and that's something I'm going to bring out tomorrow, is council members may not understand all that ordinance, because they choose not to really learn them over a period of time. Okay, but that's their choice. But we have staff who's supposed to know these ordinances and codes and how they apply. Everybody with a credit card should have been told what they can and can't purchase on the credit card.
Right.
And that's everybody. It doesn't exclude anyone. So every credit card holder in the city of Port Arthur has been told you cannot purchase food for yourself with this credit card.
Okay, with that being said, it looks like they should have somebody that can interpret their law if it's a policy against it. As in black and white, what does the city attorney have to say about this?
Well, when I brought this up the first time and I brought up the credit card, she's told me, yes, the credit card policy states that you cannot purchase food for personal consumption. You see? So here we have council member wanting to get something done. So I think that is why this proposed ordinance has been brought to council to get council to approve an ordinance that will allow them to do it. And like Councilman Frank keeps saying, he was told it wasn't nothing illegal. Well, if it wasn't illegal, why are you proposing this ordinance?
Right. Yeah. And that's what citizens don't understand, like myself, right? How can
Well,
they,
see,
if it's right, if it's
that's why.
illegal, who told you it's not illegal? You have a policy
Well,
against it. Who told you that? And if the city attorney
well,
said she told them, it doesn't make any sense. They just willfully doing what they want to do.
no, they're trying to use votes to do what they want to do. In this particular case, it's obvious, and that's. I normally don't tell citizens come to me and voice opinion, but I want citizens to understand is for some reason this is passed. I want them to know who voted for it, and I want them to understand all of the dynamics so that you don't say council did this. You need to start blaming the people who do it.
Right.
And if council member Frank says to citizens that what we're doing is not illegal, then the citizens ought to ask themselves, well, why are you proposing this ordinance? If what you're doing is okay.
That's a great question.
Think about it.
Oh yes, absolutely.
It's
And
simple. If
simple.
it's legal, why are you doing this proposed ordinance?
Right. And that's what I'm trying to figure out is if the city attorney says it, if she agrees that you can't do it, it's written as a policy that you can't do it, but you have council members like Frank, maybe some others just don't give a crap and do what they want to do, right? This
And
is
see,
the problem.
that's the purpose of bringing a proposed ordinance. All it is okay. Then we don't have nothing in writing say we could do it, so we're gonna do this. But at the same time, you're telling people that we've been told, and what we're doing is not illegal. What if what you're doing is not illegal? Why are you changing? I mean, what's the change? What's the purpose of the change?
Okay.
Because the credit card policy clearly states you can't do it. And the thing that I have more concern about here is you have a you have council members who are wanting to do this, but at the end of the day, if someone was to come in here and investigate and says this is illegal, you need to reimburse the taxpayers. If you're reading the policy and everything, then the only person that's going to be held accountable is the person whose credit card they used. You can't
Right.
make them pay it. They didn't charge it. So what you have council members having staff to do something that at the end of the day, the only people that's going to suffer from it is staff. And that's my problem with what Councilman Frank is proposing. You want to do something that you're not being held accountable for. And not only that, but you're asking other members of council to support you with this, and you saying it's not illegal. And I don't understand what's so bad about you bringing something to eat if you want to eat.
Hey, absolutely.
What's so bad about if you're so hungry taking a break? What's so bad about you coming at 4 o'clock and you leaving home, but you're gonna come in and you want a meal?
Yeah.
You Nothing you are saying is making any sense. So you're not being transparent. And see, I have a problem when we are not transparent. You
Is
know,
is there any punishment for doing this because that's what the citizens are going to ask for. Okay, we understand it's illegal. How are they going to get punished? Who is going to punish them? Because this
Well,
has to stop. And how does the citizens stop them do it? Is there a way that we can report this?
I've said this many times before. This is not a municipal government. This is in all levels of government. If you ever going to charge anybody for violating a law, a code, ordinance, there's one thing that weighs heavily on whether the person is guilty or innocent, and that is, did they do this knowingly? If you read all of the laws, it always says a person who knowingly violates. That's why when I decided to bring this topic to the council, I did it in the form of a discussion
Right.
so that they can understand we have a policy in place that you can't purchase these meals using these credit cards. So the reason I've done that is to let council know there's a policy that says we can't do that. So now you can't say I don't know anymore.
Right.
So
Right.
now if you do it right, then you're committing a misdemeanor. Okay. You see, so you have to prove beyond a doubt that the person knowingly did it. So that is why rather than trying to say somebody is guilty of something, I've always taken approaches. Okay, if you don't know, here's where it's written, and this is what it states. Now, once you've been told that, then you have two things you should do. One, go read it for yourself to ensure that what someone said is, in fact, the truth. And the next thing you must do, you must abide by what it says. So when I brought it up at that council meeting, that's what everyone should have done. If they had done it, they'd have found out, hey, we can't buy food with a credit card. And it would have ceased. But if you continue, then you're telling me I want to do what we want to do. Then when you go to the point and you realize you can't do it that way, well, we'll do an ordinance that will allow us to buy the meals. Okay. Then you're doing something now that you're gonna benefit from. So now you're getting an additional benefit that is not written nowhere for you to get, or you get an additional perk that is nothing written that you get this perk. So the way you want to do it is we're going to make it legal. We're going to pass an ordinance. And that's what this ordinance, this proposed ordinance is about. That's why I want to make sure citizens understand and know that if the ordinance is approved, then it's now legal and it's good. But then I think it'll have a problem now if someone took it at a level where they sued the city. I don't think the city ain't going to probably win in that one because, you know, it goes back to what the jail says, and the jail says you can't use taxpayers' money if you're a government employee receiving a salary.
Right. Right. So I remember you said when the city secretary asked you what you want to eat, right? The city secretary has been there for a long time, right?
No,
She should.
no, 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 no. That was the mayor council secretary.
Oh, okay. Okay. Mayor council.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. And she does what is basically instructed by mayor council.
Okay.
But see, my problem is, when I said it was a city card, I mean a credit card policy, then council member who didn't know, if they didn't trust what I say or had questions about what I say, they should have went and read the policy.
Right. Right. But whoever has the credit card should know that, right? Whoever has
Oh,
the
guess
credit card knows
now,
the
now,
rules of it. I mean, you can't say that
guess
you have
what?
a credit
That's
card, you
the
don't know
person.
nothing.
That's the person that I hold responsible for this getting to where it is today. Because whoever credit card that they were using, that person should have known I can't buy meals for personal consumption. So therefore, you can't buy meals for council members to eat. Okay.
Yeah, and that'll probably come out
So
the
Oh, let me tell you.
The city
Well,
secretary
that's what,
office, most likely.
I feel in order to move the city in the right direction, we have to work together. So what we have to do is we have to make sure we do things right. And when things are not being done right, we need to fix it. You know, I don't believe that the main issue is who or what. It's what is the problem, fix the problem. And if we fix the problem, then we don't have to worry about the problem in the future.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I agree with you on
so
that. But one thing, there's a
now you
who
move it.
behind the
You-
problem. It's a who of a person.
but see, here's the deal. A lot of people will say that too. I've heard someone tell me, "Well, yeah, the person done wrong. What you gonna do?" Well, if I decide to have somebody come in, investigate, and charge them, and then the person say, "Well, I didn't know." Well, more than likely, they're gonna say, "Well, I tell you what, you're not guilty because you didn't know." So that's the thing that people have to understand. So what you do is you start putting all your emphasis on if you didn't know, you know now.
But isn't there a
So
saying that
you don't
ignorance
have to
is
worry
no
about it.
excuse of the law? That's like that'll be like me saying, "Hey, if I went and robbed the bank, well, heck, I didn't know you couldn't rob a bank. I didn't know you couldn't have a gun
No,
in there."
no, 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 because if you go read what needs to be proven in order to find a person guilty, right?
Yeah, yeah, I know what you're
You
saying. The
you
not
won't
knowing.
find that in the bank, okay?
Yeah,
But if you read what is written in government, you will find out that that word always is in there.
yeah,
A
you're right.
person
You're
who
right. Yeah,
knowingly, a person who knowingly.
yeah.
So given that, then you always want to say, okay, then we're gonna make sure you know. And you fix the problem. If you fix the problem, you're moving forward, you know.
Right.
So if and not only that, but you don't have to worry about court calls or somebody saying, well, they didn't know, we're gonna just do this, do that. No, you're wasting time. What
Okay.
you want to do, you want to fix the problem so that it does not reoccur.
Right.
Because if it reoccur, now you don't have to worry about them not knowing. No, you knew. You were told.
Right, but this the thing. Yes, I understand. But let me give you some pushback on that, just for conversation purposes. If you have
Sure.
a credit card with municipal funds, I don't see how you not know. I can't think of a case where somebody's been charged for misappropriation of funds or something similar, paying for
Let me
something
tell
on
you.
the credit card, and they have a policy where somebody
Okay.
said, "Hey, I didn't know and I got off." I don't. Yeah, speak on that, brother.
Well, the thing is, when people are accustomed to not following what's written, just doing what they want, then that's where we get these instances. That's where we are. Someone says, "Hey, we want meals because we have these long meetings." Someone say, "Well, okay, you know, all right, I'll get council meals," because they're not understanding that council does not do as it should. You will hear many times staff will come up to council, and when they are questioned, and it comes to the point where they are now hearing that I'm not buying what you're saying, then the first thing the staff member says is, "Well, I'm just saying, but council can do as it choose." I,
Right.
that phrase been used by the city attorney.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
I've
been
heard of.
used.
You're right.
Wait a minute. It's been used by the city manager.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's been said by council members. We do whatever we want
Yeah,
if we got 4 votes.
yeah,
So what I'm telling you is, when people are on council, and what citizens need to understand, if they believe that, then their actions are like that.
yeah.
So you
Right,
have to have somebody who knows better and is willing to stand up and hold all of us accounted accountable. And that means you're not there to go along and get along. You're there to do what's right. And sometimes you have to do that. like in this particular case, you know, I'm I want to make sure that citizens understand that Councilman Frank is proposing to do an ordinance to allow council members to buy food for workshops, training sessions, or council meetings. And as long as citizens understand it and citizens are okay with it, then Councilman Doucet is okay with it. But as it stands right now, there's something in black and white said you can't do it. You see, and what citizens need to understand is if it's something that's not written that says you can't do it, and as Councilman Frank referred to, is not illegal. Well, if it's not illegal, why are you proposing this ordinance?
Mm-hmm.
Just keep doing it. What are you fearing?
Right.
What are you fearing? If what you're doing is legal and there's nothing says it's illegal, then why you need to write anything? That's what citizens have to realize. No, there's got to be more to it than what I'm hearing. Well, you're doing that because you want to now do something that will make it legal.
Right.
You want to do something that to make it legal. And your justification for doing this is not making sense.
Right.
You
Ultimately.
tell you talking about getting a meal at 4 o'clock in the evening when you leaving home to get there at 4 o'clock.
Right.
So so is that justification to have taxpayers buy that meal?
Heck no.
If you're not eating a meal then, you're taking it home. What was the purpose of having taxpayers buy a meal that you're taking home? Now, it's clear if the person is not receiving a salary, then that can be allowed.
Mm-hmm.
The key to it all is the salary. That's the key. And I'm quite sure everybody in government realizes there's no job that pays you a salary and buy your meals.
Right. Yeah.
So the government don't do it. And the government don't do it because it's not a private enterprise. They government don't have money. That's taxpayers' money.
Yeah. You're right. You're right about that.
That's why they put a lot of emphasis on government employees receiving a salary.
Yes, sir. And I've heard somewhere somebody, I think it could have been on social media, where Frank may have said something about, I don't think the citizens would mind if council bought
If
some meals, something like that. Would you heard anything like that?
if you go back to the discussion that I put on the council when I brought out the fact that you cannot purchase the meal with a credit card because
Okay.
of the credit card policy, when he spoke is when he said he don't he don't believe the citizen will mind them receiving a box lunch at some time, but it amounts to $10 to $13, and that's what he said at that meeting. If you go back to that meeting, probably about 6 weeks ago,
Right.
I mean, that's what he said, and he's also using that today. But he's not saying he don't think they mind because he's reading all these comments. He's saying that that's what the meals are, and that's what they do, and it's nothing illegal.
Right.
No, it's illegal about you eating a meal, but if you're using a city credit card to purchase those meals, then that's illegal.
Right.
You see, and I'm gonna tell you, any citizen could pull up the ordinance in there, or go ask for the policy, and they're gonna see it. It's plain as day. It says you cannot use credit card to purchase meals.
What is it, like credit card policy?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
the credit card policy is a brochure, and you see, Here's the other thing about it too. When I'm telling people about process, see, that's council member has to understand if you're gonna hold people accountable,
Hmm.
you have to learn these things. You're not gonna learn them in a day, but you have to read. You have to be able to read and be able to prepare yourself to comment on these things because people will tell you what they want to tell you. If you don't
Right.
know no better, you're gonna have to accept it. But if you look at the credit card policy, right?
Yeah.
This will look even more out of line because the credit card policy says an individual cannot use a credit card to purchase meal for personal consumption. Now,
Right.
that's you with that credit card you got. Well, if you can't buy yourself a meal, that you definitely can't buy nobody else a meal with the credit card you got.
Right.
Not only that, but if you give the credit card to somebody to go and get meals and pay for it with the credit card, the policy says a person who is issued a credit card cannot allow anybody else to charge on that credit card.
Hmm.
So if you read the policy, everything about this is wrong. Everything about it is wrong. So you know, citizens have to be aware of what is written and know what is written to understand if the council members are doing right or if the council member is not abusing their tax dollars. See,
Right.
because if I go along and don't say nothing, citizens that think that it's written that they can have meals.
Hmm.
There's nothing written nowhere that says council members are entitled to purchase meals for council meetings. So if there's nothing written anywhere, why would it? Why would you do it? You know, I've got a I got a feeling that maybe Councilman Frank is trying to equate this to the school board.
Right.
You know, because if they did it, then they don't receive a salary.
Yeah, I remember they went to Fogo de Chao.
Okay, you see, so they do not receive a salary though. It's
Right.
different.
Right.
But he can't take what they do with the school board and come and say, well, if we decide we can have meals, we want meals.
Yeah.
It's a different thing here. This is the taxpayers' money and how you purchase it and who's getting the meals. You can't buy meals for a person who's receiving a salary.
Right. Yeah.
And like I said, I just want to make sure that citizens are aware of this. Uh, and as far as I'm concerned, whether it was written or not written, I don't think it's something that I would even think about doing uh, if I was in the position of being a council member serving people. I don't think I would want them to pay for meals for
Yeah.
me. I don't think I can ask them to elect me to represent them
Right.
and then
Right.
turn around and say, okay, okay, I want this, I want that.
Hmm.
No, you tell me before I elect you, you want this, and I'll tell you, you ain't gonna get elected. You know,
Yeah. Exactly. I
you
mean.
get elected. You know, and when you change things that have been in place for a long time,
Hmm.
only benefit is for you. You got to really take a hard look at that. Who benefit from this ordinance if it's approved?
Right.
The only people benefit from it is the people going to eat meal. Now let's talk about the people going to eat meal, the council members. So you're going to benefit from it. Is that what you're supposed to be doing as an elected official? The next thing is if now you including staff who attends the meetings. So now you talking about more meals for more people who also get paid.
Right, and it kind of looks like, hey, since we having it's like it looks like bribery to me, right? It's like a bigger problem to me. When you want staff to cooperate, hey, I'm gonna go pay for staff too. If I want staff
There
to
you go.
cooperate, I'm going to give them a higher salary and start changing up, changing up
Well,
job
well,
titles. But I'm gonna go in there on a different podcast though.
eh, well. Not only that, but when you talk about proposing an ordinance, and you're talking about council members, this is the issue whether a council member can purchase these meals. But then you add the staff in here now. But the question citizens should ask: why wasn't the staff included before?
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Why wasn't the staff included before? So everything about your ordinance points to you want justification to have citizens pay for a meal for you.
Right, and then you want to say the staff to have the staff go along with it, so hey, everybody can be like, hey, it's a
You
good thing, Hey, I kind of like be spokesperson for it. Yeah,
well, what it is, every citizens, I mean, every staff member that thought it was wrong, that's there down there, not eating, they think it's wrong, and they ain't saying, but they think it's wrong. But now
you
it may
know,
be okay. Okay,
yeah,
I get to eat too,
I get to
you
eat
know.
too, so yeah, I'm fine with it. Hey, I ain't got no problems with it. Yeah,
And so we have to just hold ourselves accountable as council members. And as I stated earlier, I am a black and white guy. I feel if we do what is written, our city will be fine and our money will be managed. But we don't do things that are not written, are not supported, where we are using taxpayers' money to do that. And when we use taxpayers' money for us, then we have to make sure that we can justify that. We can
hmm,
justify it because when
right,
you elect to run for council, the only thing that you are told or you may know of is you will get a salary and a car allowance. That's
right.
it.
Yeah, and it kind of makes me go back to think, right? Because I remember when I think it was Barty and probably some others used to complain about the meetings, the long times of the meetings. Like, look, you're only here for 2 times out the month. Well, usually 2 times, but besides special meetings and other things, right? Hey, if you didn't
Well,
want to
the thing,
do it, don't come. Don't vie for
don't
the
volunteer.
job. Don't
There
volunteer.
you go.
I
They,
mean, you
hey,
know what has to be done. If you really had the city's best interest and you
in
running
mind.
you, in mind, you wouldn't even complain about the issue because you
But
handling city business.
see, those are the things that I have a problem with. You know, you sign up for this, but now you want to make it better for you.
And you're getting health care.
And you can't tell me that you're not making it better for you because I don't see no benefit that the citizens going to have about it.
Right.
And you knew that you got to attend meetings. Some meetings are long, some are short. But what are you talking about? You talking about meetings run 6 or 7, but in the ordinance, right? The ordinance doesn't say buy a meal if the meeting is this length.
Yeah, right.
Okay, it's not so. If the meeting is going to be 2 hours, you buy a meal. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
See, this I just want to make sure that citizens understand what this proposed ordinance is about. And if they're fine with it, then they should let council know they're fine with it. And then once it's approved, if it's approved, then it'll be fine with Councilman Doucet.
Right.
But right now, from what Councilman Doucet understands, you buying it with a credit card. The credit card policy says you can't buy food for personal consumption. So it's wrong. It's wrong. And I was elected to ensure that we don't do wrong. Now, this is a no-brainer. But this would have passed and no one was told when this came out, the first thing everybody who made comments, they'll be making them saying all of the council,
Right, right.
all of the council. So, you know, you get blamed for the council. And I read remarks, but I understand when I ran and I became part of the council. Sometimes I got to take the good with the bad.
Hey, but
So if it's a decision council made that was bad, but I didn't vote for it, I was against. I'm not gonna say, well, hey, it's them. No, no, no. If you looked at the meeting, if you followed the meeting, then you know I voted no.
well, I
I'm
was
not going back to talk about the rest of the council members because they voted opposite of what I did. I'm not gonna do that. But the fact of the matter is, I hold myself accountable to vote right for citizens.
well, I was about to say,
Yeah.
I'm glad you're speaking out it about things like right now. So because, even though citizens should be involved in everything that's going on council, citizens don't really know everything, all the bad stuff that's going on council, and
Well,
unless you really in tune with local politics, which we should be, but the truth
well,
is some that are not.
the thing that we're supposed to do as council members, we're supposed to address things in a way that citizens can understand. You know, because citizens don't know ordinance codes and all this.
Right?
So
Yeah,
we,
yeah.
as a representative, we're supposed to be able to elaborate and discuss it. When we are discussing things on council, we're supposed to explain it so that the citizens can understand, you know. And when citizens understand, then I don't have a problem with it. But when you explaining something to citizens that you giving it a version that you want them to accept what you're saying as opposed to having them to decide for it, I have a problem with that. And that's what in this case, that ordinance is not a representative of how the entire council feels. That's one. Two, you're not saying true. You're paying more for meals than you saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lying. Yeah.
The other thing is you saying it's not. I mean, it's not illegal. Yes, it is illegal because you're using a credit card. So I have a problem when you're telling citizens these things. And so my job as a person elected is, if I know you're not saying it, make sure citizens understand all of it. So citizens can make up their own mind. There's citizens who may feel it's okay,
Right.
but
Right.
at least they need to understand that a lot of this, what you're being told, is not the way it really is.
And that's
You know,
why I'm glad that you're doing it, because most citizens on the surface would think that happens all the time. Hey, politicians eat
that's
meals
right.
on the taxpayers. So I'm glad
That's right.
you and any others that's coming out here and say, hey, that's a lie. He's lying about the prices and he's lying about it being legal. Citizens have to know these things, right, in order for us to take action. And again, I do
Well,
commend you for letting us
no,
know on some of the lies.
let me let me correct you. You saying lie. I
Yeah,
said
I'm
information that
saying
oh,
lie, because if he's saying
okay,
it's
then all right.
illegal and something is
Yeah,
illegal, that's either true
guess
or
what?
false. That's me.
Well,
But I
well,
understand. Yeah,
well,
you don't have to
well,
say
guess
it. I'm
what?
saying it.
Well, yeah,
I'm
because
saying it.
I, I I want to make sure that uh, that I let them know that that information is not correct.
Right.
Now, probably, if you come and talk to me, I say that's a lie,
Right.
but
Right. No, I'm gonna say it
but
on the record. That's
but,
a lie.
but,
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm not going to say publicly that a council member, somebody lied, But like you say, six in one hand, half dozen in the other.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
ju- I just like to be tactful when I say things,
And that's
and all.
why we're here at the PA Political Revolution podcast to give the unadulterated truth, how unpleasant it may be. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, well, that's see, that's why citizens need to know, and like I always say, you know, a good informed citizen can understand and make the rational decisions, And I think that's what happens when uh, people running for office and them and they popular, they go, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But then when they are elected and get in there, it's like, okay, I'm in now. And what citizens need to realize, and citizens need to really realize it, they need to become involved. They need to understand who on council are speaking and representing them, mm, and overseeing the management of their tax dollars and ensuring that our priorities is what they need and who is not. And, at some point in time, citizens need to understand how much power they have. You know, you do not have to wait for a person to serve a term till you remove them out of the office.
Right.
Like they say, you put him in or her in, you could take him or her out.
Yeah.
You see, so citizens need to understand, quit complaining, and you need to get involved, and you need to hold the people you elect accountable to you. They
Right.
have to be accountable to you. And I don't mean giving what you want personally. I'm talking about providing services and stuff as written, and how we supposed to do it, making sure that we manage your money. How can we manage your money if we want to abuse your money?
Mm-hmm.
You know, a person who wants to abuse your money, do you want them overseeing a $200 million budget?
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Well, that's the way I look at it. Because if you want to have taxpayers pay for a meal and you're being provided a salary, then the next question I say is, do you really care about saving this money so we can do things that we really need to do? Or you just don't care, you see? So, I just made a point, and that's something I don't do. I don't like to tell citizens to come to a council meeting and let you. I don't believe in doing that. But I feel this topic here
Yeah.
is one that citizens need to say how they feel about it, because a councilman has said, I don't think citizens mind.
Right.
Well,
Right.
that council person needs to have citizens to say whether they mind or not, because I know the majority of citizens will say no. So
Yeah.
for you to say you don't think, well, we're not here to think. We're here to do what is right
Right. Yeah.
by
Wow.
citizens. So if I wanted to do this, I would ask them. I would I would provide for an input. I will put it on the agenda so that citizens can understand what it's about. You know, but the citizens, they read it, they really don't understand what you're saying, because you done mixed in all of this receptions and things things that are already identified as being okay. So if you put that in there and I read it, I say, oh, well, I know they could do that. Oh, that's all right, because you done muddied the waters, and that's a problem I have. I have a problem with that. So I don't want this thing to get whereby council members who favor it get together and decide, oh, well, we gonna pass it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. That's what
okay
you
then.
have.
Well, that's how things have been done in the past, and I knew that and everything. But the thing about it is, I've always said, if it's written in black and white, the votes don't matter. You can't win that one. So we just need people on council to make sure that we do what is written and we manage taxpayers' money and not abuse it, because that's what they elect us to do. And I'm going to make sure that it's transparent. I, that's something I ran on, transparency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's going to be transparency. And I think I've done a pretty good job at people following council meetings of bringing up topics and explaining things and making sure citizens understand and let citizens know when this is right, this is not right. That's transparency, you
Right,
know.
right.
But knowing it ain't right and sitting up there and don't say nothing,
Yeah.
it's going to continue to be wrong. And that's why we are where we are today.
Yes, sir.
We are not held accountable for some of the decisions that we are making.
Hmm.
And citizens fail to realize you all got that power.
Yeah.
But if you want to just complain about it on social media, that can't fix nothing.
Right, right, right.
That ain't in the minutes. That ain't on record. Go put it on record. Go look them in the eyes when you talk to them. That will get their attention. It gets mine. I listen to what people have to say, whether I agree or don't. I have to listen.
And then I want to
And
go ahead and piggyback off that, right? Just to give an example of how much power the citizens have, right? Back when they had the what is it, the slaughterhouse, the halal slaughterhouse that they was trying to bring over here in the Port Acres. Port Acres showed up, filled out the actual count, the whole council room where they had to put that addition back in. It would knock out the back, well, open up the back wall and put some more seats back there. And they filled up that. They let citizens showed their, voice. They actually fought and they end up getting it defeated where the slaughterhouse won't come over here. And man, look, they had every pastor in the city of Port Arthur coming up to speak for
what,
a halal
what,
slaughterhouse, but the
but
citizens was,
see,
hey, they went against it and won.
yeah, but wait a minute. But you see, you have to really understand government to really understand why it was won. In order for them to, I mean, where they wanted to build a slaughterhouse, it was in a property that had been zoned agriculture. Okay. So, in order to build a slaughterhouse there, they had to rezone it. Okay. So, when they had to rezone it, now it requires the public hearing, and citizens got to say now. See, because you want to put something there that is that property is not zoned for. So when all of these citizens showed up, it wasn't hard for the council to say no because they were saying we're not going to rezone it for you to build that there because the citizens don't want it. You see, because if property is zoned for that, then in reality, you get to a point where you say, okay, then if it's zoned properly, then you can. But when you want to take agricultural land and turn it into a commercial, then what you have to do, you have to request rezoning. That's another issue. So that was the easy one for citizens to stop. And because sometimes, although citizens may not agree, you got code and ordinance that the city that the council has to provide because it's a double-edged sword. We can't deny business people or somebody who own a property to not build what they want on their own property that they own if it's within the zoning ordinance. You see what I'm saying? But in
Yeah,
that
yeah.
case, they wanted to build something that wasn't in there. It was agriculture. Now you want to build a slaughterhouse there, that's commercial. But you want to rezone it and build something commercial, but you buy these residents and in this neighborhood. So guess what? They say, we don't want that.
Right, right. I
It,
would, yeah, I would also say that it was a larger part because of the citizens, right? Regardless of law or
oh,
not,
oh,
because they
well,
made it a
well,
hostile
let me tell you
environment for those what you call it, the EDC board members. Remember they had them cell phone numbers,
something. Yeah,
blowing them
well,
up
the
left
thing
and
about
right.
the thing about it is, like I said, uh, citizens must voice their opinion.
Yeah.
And see, that's something, sometimes citizens may say, we don't want this, but then they have to understand, it's not what you want, because I I retired in 2000 and I came back to Port Arthur. I built a new home on Lake Arthur Drive in the 3400. Right now, they got these legacy apartments, senior living and stuff right
Yeah.
across.
Right.
Nice apartment complex and stuff. And they got a lot of stuff. They done build apartments and stuff. Well, you know, it was all vacant land when I built my home. Then when I found out they sold the property, they're gonna be building, you know, I didn't go, but some of the neighbors went before council and the board, and they expressed that dissatisfaction that you bring in apartments and stuff. And well, they was told this is commercial property.
Yeah.
So I just packed up, and that's why I'm out here in Lakeside now. So sometimes, we can actually understand what citizens are saying, but there's something written that says this is how it is, you
Right.
know.
and,
But
and-
citizens have to be able to do like you said. They have to be able to go and question it. And if you can't tell me something that's legally saying you can do this, we don't want it. And that's what happened in that case. It was easy decision. But
mhm.
citizens need to understand that there are certain things that if you don't if you're not going to look the councilmen in the eyes and tell them how you feel about it and make sure that they hear your voice, then they have to believe, you know, what we do is right. I give you a perfect example. The water rates. If
Yes.
citizens would have showed up at the meeting, it would have never passed.
Hmm.
If they would have went to the podium and expressed their desire, because I don't think there was a person in Port Arthur would have went to that podium and said, "Yeah, it's okay, raise them."
Right. Right. And then
But
another, and then another
but but
example.
but
Go ahead. Go ahead.
citizens can do it. But so I don't want this to be another case of you don't you don't go and say nothing, but then once it's done, everybody want to complain about it. And just think about how many comments you see on from this posting that I done.
Right.
That tells me right then if this passed and they didn't know what it was really about, they will be saying the same thing. They'll be complaining. So we got to keep citizens informed. And if what we're doing right, we shouldn't worry about if they pack that chamber. We got to do what's right by citizens.
Yeah. And then you have situations where they don't care about law, right? The other situation we bring up was the school district, right? School district
Well,
get about the liquor store right by TJ. Hey, state law
I think,
says, hey, you can't do this, but hell, we had a superintendent allegedly write a recommendation letter for the doggone thing. So it's all kind of crazy. But main thing, we
well,
need to fight for some of this stuff.
you need to keep citizens informed, and citizens need to understand. If you do not uh, voice your opinion when these decisions are being made, then voice them afterward ain't gonna stop it or have no influence. But when you go up there and speak, here's what happens. When citizens coming before this council and you all are speaking, and citizens are coming before, they all saying the same thing, right? When council member votes now, right? Council member is saying, okay, they just came in and said that this is what they want, okay? And this is what I'm up here to do. But when no one is there, then you allow council members to get the votes to pass something that ain't in the best interest of the citizens in the city. And you'll see that a lot of times. You know, a lot of time when you see a 4-3 vote and what it is kind of iffy, and you basically kind of, okay, we allow that to happen because citizens didn't show up. If citizens would have showed up and citizens was all in the court, what they're saying, then you're gonna find council members are not gonna all vote against the citizens. They're not gonna do that. But when nobody's there, we vote. And if we vote for and three people vote no, uh, whenever you have a split vote of a council, that's a red flag. It's a red flag. The reason it's a red flag, because if we all there to serve and make decisions in the best interest of the city and the citizens, we the super majority should be voting together. You might have one or two persons, but the super majority, not the majority, the super majority of council should be on the same sheet of music. But when you get the 4-3 split, that should be a red flag.
Yeah, unless you have the supermajority council don't know what they're doing, the crooks. Yeah.
Well, well, you see, the thing is,
Right.
there are some council members, there are some council members who understands uh, the Open Meeting Act about calling and discussing city business in hopes of getting a vote. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
council members are not supposed to do that. You may have a question about an item. You may call a council member and you say, "Hey, we think about this here," uh, uh, and all this. But you don't call and say, "Well, let's vote against it or let's vote for it," because when you're doing that, you canvassing for votes. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna just canvass till you get 4 votes. And normally that's what happens when you see a 4-3 vote.
Mm-hmm.
You get a 4-3 vote. That vote didn't come from what was said in that meeting and stuff. And citizens just got to be aware and watch these red flags, you know. And and citizens have to be aware of how their council members are voting. Are they voting in my best interest? Are they asking questions that I need asked? You know, and we talk about these long meetings. Sure, meetings gonna be long. You give a proclamation, and after the proclamation, everybody wants to thank the person.
Right.
Well, the proclamation, it says what the person done, why they being uh, uh, rewarded. So if one person says something, thank the person on behalf, do it on behalf of the council. But you give a proclamation, and you got 5 people gonna speak about it, and they
Right.
wonder why we got meetings.
Right.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you know if you talk about meetings, take a look at how we conduct meetings, and then let's go back to the drawing board. But you know, you saying we have long meetings, and we should uh, be provided a meal. I don't think that's what citizens elected us to do. And if citizens feel is okay, then it's fine with me. But they can't say that they were not told in advance. And
Right.
that's, I feel good about making sure that they're informed about this. I think this is an impacting issue. I think they should be informed of it. And that's all it's about. And I don't have anything to say uh, bad about a council member who thinks it's okay. It's just that I don't feel it's right, and they feel is right because they doing it. But at the end of the day, it takes others to agree. You see, and in my case, I don't like to get personal. I don't ever talk about what I think. I always go read and find out what it says. So in this particular case, I know it ain't right. So even if it was to get voted and approved, I'm still not going to let it go.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Right.
I read too much information that says it ain't right to let it go. Now, if the Attorney General of the United States, of the United States of America, tells me it's okay, then I'm gonna say it's okay.
Right, right,
But it's gonna have to be somebody who's looking at things in the best interest of taxpayers and their taxpayers' dollars to say that. And I just don't believe that everybody from here to the Attorney General is going to say, it's okay, because he can't do it. The Attorney General can't do it. So I'm quite sure that he's not going to say it's okay for somebody else to do it.
right.
You know. So those are the type of things we have.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm gonna go ahead on and wrap it up and go ahead and give me the last statement, brother.
Well, like I said, it's one of those things where, if citizens don't want to express their views before council, then that's their choice, and I respect that. But what I want everybody to know is this is a issue that already has generated a lot of comments. Therefore, the comments should be voiced to the council. And if they aren't voiced to the council and it happens, then we don't have to worry about this going through why they did it, why they did it. You know, so everybody knows. If everybody knows, then decisions gonna be made. But
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
but you gotta know what it says and what it's about. And it's all about citizens, in my opinion. And that money, I'm gonna be looking at a lot of the money because we receive a lot of revenue in the city, and I just don't feel the revenue is reflecting how our city looks. So, I'm going to be looking at all that, just not meals, but everything. And we got to start with the money.
Oh,
We get more money, more things.
oh, yes, sir. The money would dictate how well the city is doing. Yeah, I appreciate everything you're doing on the council, and I commend you for it. And I hope you keep on fighting for us, Mr. Doucet. Hey, I appreciate it. It was good talking to you, sir.
All right. Thank you for having me. Like I said, anytime you feel that's something that I could help citizens to understand dealing with city government, I'm more than happy to come on and answer your questions or give the information out that you feel citizens should know. Once again, thank you for having me on your podcast.
Yes, sir. Take it easy, brother.
All right. Bye bye.
All right. And citizens, I want to kind of go out by going saying this. This is why I call this the revolutionary podcast, right? Because when you're dealing with these crooks over here in Port Arthur, you have to have a revolutionary mindset and ready to go to war. Whenever you go to war, you're going to war with these big packs, all these crooked doggone individuals. You have to take the mindset of a revolutionary, right? And usually the strategy is guerrilla warfare when you fighting bigger opponents like this, right? So that's the mindset that we need to have if we really want to take back this city for the people, right? If you really want to take back this city. So, hey, appreciate y'all for listening. Go ahead and share this with everybody. And once again, it's Supa Dave signing out on the PA Political Revolution Podcast. And everybody take it easy. Until the next time, peace.